Yeah. I wanted to look up the word vain. I think that it's important to understanding the vanity of those that are obstructing my rights. UVW, I'm going the wrong direction. Yeah. Um, now, as I victualizing office, ooh, the Royal Navy, the vein, yeah. Now, there's really no place in government for those that are vain. I informed the sheriff and police departments in every state of the United States that my rights are being violated. And somebody seems to think that we can allow for the vanity of those in office. Yes. Now, vain, yes. Um, a person devoid of sense or wisdom, foolish, silly, thoughtless, of an idle or futile nature, or disposition. Now, there are those given to or indulging in personal vanity, having an excessively high opinion of one's own appearance, attainment, quality, possessions, etc., delighting in or desirous of attracting the admiration of others, conceited. Now, let's say you're a conceited, vain sheriff. Yes. That when you look at yourself in the mirror, you think, my gosh, I look good. I'm so important, and everything I do has so much importance. Yeah. But I would say that you're ineffectual, useless. Absolutely no place in government for the vain. Now, what vanity are you believing? Yes, that you can do what you're doing when you refuse to enforce the requirements of the law. You refuse to admit the evidence that I wasn't in Brennan and I wasn't cyber stalking. And then you refuse to enforce the civil rights of my sons to not be in the wrong grade because of your vanity that has said that you won't enforce my custody rights. Now, we talked of the dissolution of marriage that began wrong. Yes, it did not commence well. First of all, the petitioner had filed the dissolution of marriage with the premeditative belief that she would have me arrested for a crime that I was found not guilty of. Yes. And then you decided that you were not going to remove the dissolution of marriage, even though this was not the state of my domicile. I was actually domiciled in Guam. Oh. And then you never required actual proof of service the whole time that you issued it, because you, as a judge, have a vanity that now it's really a tyrant. Yeah. Mhm. Now, seems to be that whatever the law wishes done, it wishes to not be done in vain. The law does require actual proof of service to the respondent before having court hearings. I've talked about the mail order dissolution of marriage. Yeah, yeah. Now, this grant is to be strongly interpreted against the grantor. Yeah. Now, there is, every jurisdiction has its own limits. Now, there's a certain amount of vanity thinking that you as a court, yes, do not have to acknowledge the jurisdiction of Guam. Really very vain on the part of the court commissioner and the judges. And then there's the vanity, yes, of the sheriff and police department that can allow for the falsifying of documents, yes, and then the enforcement of those documents because of forgery and fraud. Well, you have me arrested multiple times because of the falsified deceptive, counterfeit, forged, or misrepresented documents or records of the court. Yes. Now, from the Black's Law Dictionary, to make deceptive, to counterfeit, to forge or misrepresent, especially to tamper with a document, record, etc., by interlineation, obliteration, or some other means. Yes. Now, also termed archaically false, see counterfeit, forgery. To prove something to be false or erroneous, their goal in appeal was to falsify the jury's verdict. Yes. Now, when you falsify court orders because it misrepresents what actually took place in court, yes. It's really a counterfeit court order because of the vanity. Now, for those of you that are waiting for the next lawsuit because you're sure that I falsifying a record, the crime of making false entries or otherwise tampering with a public record with the intent to deceive or injure, or to conceal wrongdoing. Falsify the quality, state, or condition of being untruthful or deceitful. An untrue statement. The respondent did not receive actual notice of court hearings. Yes. Falsity. Now, false pretenses, the crime involving obtaining title to another personal property by misrepresenting the fact with the intent to defraud. Yes. Under false pretenses, without the jurisdiction of law, yes. You issued a court order without any authority or jurisdiction of law. Now, I know there's no lawsuit in this. Happens all the time in every court of the United States of America. You're not doing anything the other judges don't do. Now, every jurisdiction has its own limits. Now, I put a little tiny green. That's going to be a lawsuit there. Yes, it's in Latin. Now, every count upon the writ ought to be laid in the county in which the writ arose. Just listening to the Supreme Court of Washington State talk about a writ of prohibition that would prohibit judges from increasing the bonding of any employee. Yes. Because of their dislike or their concerns of liability. Yes. These writs that ought to be laid in the county in which the writ arose. Every count upon the writ. You wrote a 2-count criminal complaint and you arranged for an arraignment. Yeah. On August 21st. Yes. But I wasn't in that county. Why didn't you write the criminal complaint in Clallam County? You didn't call Mark Nichols, the prosecuting attorney of Clallam County. We're back to the vain prosecuting attorneys that are absolutely sure. Since I was here and you have the evidence, why did you not write the criminal complaint in Clallam County instead of Jefferson County? Now, let's say the prosecuting attorney for Clallam County wanted to write a 2-count criminal complaint where there's an allegation of violating the false court record known as a protection order that was involuntarily issued. Yes. And the 2-count criminal complaint was written in this county because this is where I was at. Now, I know prosecuting me, Clallam County, yes, would have been difficult because allegedly the crime took place in Brennan, Washington. Yes. But you must have the same emails as the prosecuting attorney in Jefferson County. Yes. Is there any possibility that the Jefferson County prosecuting attorney's office, would have had emails, yes, that the prosecuting attorney's office in Clallam County doesn't have? Now, why am I to think that this writ that was written in Jefferson County was so much more special than any other county of the United States of America? How is it possible, that the prosecuting attorney's office in Jefferson County has any emails that Clallam County doesn't have, yes, that King County doesn't have, that any person that went on Facebook doesn't have, that went on my drives doesn't have, yes. Why am I thinking they're so special in Jefferson County? Now there's a lawsuit in this if you can see it. Ooh, those that had issued the writ, yes, seem to think that the emails that they have are not actually uh, owned by, yes, any other county of the United States of America. Now, every count upon the writ ought to be laid in the county in which the writ arose. Now, why doesn't everybody issue a 2-count criminal complaint? Yes, to me from every county of the United States of America. Makes you wonder.